Thanks for tuning in to Local News Live. I'm Ryan Henson. As you probably guessed, a show full of the latest from the campaign trail. I think we're all well aware Tuesday is Election Day, and the campaign trail heats up this weekend as most presidential campaigns blitz battleground states in the final hours before polls open. Now, the Harris campaign was in Charlotte about an hour ago, and then before that, she was in Atlanta earlier today and will be in Michigan on Sunday. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump currently taking a break from the swing states to campaign in Salem, Virginia right now. He's still on stage. He'll be in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania tomorrow. Busy weeks, busy couple of days for both candidates. Now, both candidates are touring through swing states near the Atlantic coast this weekend. Before tonight's rally in Virginia, Trump visited Gastonia in the last attempt to attract voters in the Tar Heel state. He's back in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight before visiting Kingston, North Carolina tomorrow, aside from other swing states. Similar to his speech in Wisconsin last night, the former president talked about the recent jobs report that came out on Friday.
And economically, she doesn't know anything. In fact, what she's proposing, well, wait a minute. You just saw, you were going to go over it in a second, the worst numbers I've ever seen. How good was that? To get those numbers 4 days before the vote was, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Vice President Kamala Harris also on the trail, like I said, in Charlotte. Her closing campaign message has been about unity and change.
And we have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're done.
Voted for a Democrat presidential candidate since Obama in 2008. Harris is on the road to Michigan later tonight. And this year's early voting numbers are coming in, and the results, massive. As of this afternoon, more than 67 million votes are already casted. That includes both mail-in ballots and in-person votes. More than 38 million votes came from people voting at the polls, already surpassing the 2020 election's total for that category. Now, a record 101 million people voted early last election, so voters still have a long way to go to beat the previous race's early voting total, which was driven primarily by the pandemic. Now, ahead of Election Day, the Department of Justice says they're monitoring 86 counties in 27 states, including all 7 swing states. The agency released a statement Friday stating that they will have personnel on site to monitor activity at the polls. This is the latest thing that we know that they're doing to make sure the vote is secure, especially in this election cycle. The agency hasn't monitored this many polling sites in 2 decades. And if you're looking to score some deals this election season, you're in luck. There are a few companies offering perks while you're out at the polls. Rideshare companies, Lyft and Uber, offering half-off rides to polling places. If voting makes you hungry, Uber Eats is offering 25% off of orders through Election Day until Wednesday morning. Krispy Kreme, Johnny Rockets, and IKEA also giving away free items to snack on this election season. In swing states, clerks are working around the clock to make sure every vote is counted. Local News Live correspondent Mason Carroll talked to an Arizona recorder to learn more about their efforts to reach rural voters.
Land size, which is the biggest challenge for us.
Coconino County Recorder Patty Hansen says it's all hands on deck, just days away from the election.
The presidential election is a beast of its own because of how busy we are at election time. But we want people to vote.
But when conducting an election in the second largest county in the continental U.S., distance is a huge hurdle.
The challenges are we can't expect people to drive hours to get to an early voting location or to a polling place.
On the Navajo Nation, they deploy a mobile voting center with translators.
But also you can't mail an interpreter with an early ballot. People could go to vote at the mobile site and get language assistance if they need it.
And at the Grand Canyon, the county sends 2 employees by helicopter to help with Election Day in Supai.
They work with 2 members of the tribe to conduct the election, and they helicopter out first thing Wednesday.
But dealing with misinformation is also a challenge across Coconino County. The recorder's office says they've already had to put out notices on social media, dispelling a rumor that if ballots are not 100% filled out, they would not be counted.
I encourage those people, call us. We'll actually explain what's going on. And we have party observers in our office right now.
As for early voting, Hansen says at this time in 2020, 54% of early ballots have already been returned. But this year, that number is down to around 44%. She believes Arizona's long 2-page double-sided ballot is part of the reason for the lower numbers right now, and suggests people bring in their sample ballot to speed up voting in person.
And you know how you want to vote before you go to the polling place.
And as we edge closer to Election Day, some people are patiently waiting for it to be over. LNO correspondent Catrice Nolan talked to voters who say they feel fatigued from all of the political pressure.
I'm very tired.
Tired of it.
I think it's entertaining, it's humorous.
Yes, I'm kind of tired. You know, I already make up my mind, so nothing's going to change what I'm going to do. So.
Political ads seem to be everywhere, from television to radio to text messages on your cell phone.
Well, text messages is like every day, like 4 to 5 times a day. And then the mail, it's like, I would say maybe in a week, maybe like 4 or 5 times.
And that mail in your mailbox.
A lot of junk mail. I'm really kind of appalled at the amount of paper that gets wasted.
Most early voters we talk to say it's too much, and that election fatigue might be a serious factor in this election. But they say they understand why the ads are continuous.
I don't mind it because I know what they're trying to do.
Because what is at stake this election? And I understand, like I say, they're trying to get it out there. And hey, I'm gonna vote, so I make sure I'm in there so my voice can be heard.
One woman who made early voting a family event says she is experiencing a lot of emotions during this election cycle.
You know, constant anxiety. And I don't know if you're supposed to say party affiliation or whatever, but yeah, as a Democrat, I am like tacking in the stress meter, so yeah.
But experts say there are ways to cope with being inundated with political rhetoric.
Self-care routines that we all have or should have that include physical activation, engaging in activities that are pleasurable, making sure that discussions that we have with friends or family members are not necessarily around the topics that are currently stressful.
Reproductive rights front and center this campaign season, why IVF has become a particularly thorny issue this election.